By tonight, the police haven't got this person. If this goes into day 2.
Okay, sorry, Nick, I'm just going to interrupt you there because Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene is just speaking. Let's have a listen into her.
That's our First Amendment, and college campuses have always been a place for that. And I believe today he was killed for the words that he says and the things that he stood for. And we're honestly shocked. We're devastated, shocked, and angry. And those are just natural feelings.
How close were you to him?
Charlie Kirk was a friend. He was a good friend. I spoke at many of his events over the years. Knew him when he was a lot younger. And, I mean, he's not much older than my oldest daughter. But I just think it's really, honestly, horrific.
What kind of legacy does he leave behind to the consumer?
Charlie Kirk leaves a huge legacy. It's going to be hard for anybody to fill his shoes. He was extremely important. Students all over the country would get very excited if they found out he was coming to their college campus. He brought in thousands of people to hear him speak. Even people that didn't agree with him would come, ask questions, even argue with him. He was always about the debate. And Charlie Kirk was never for violence, and to see him murdered in such a graphic way in front of the camera, and that video is too gruesome. Honestly, I hope it gets taken down. I don't think his wife or children one day should ever see it. I really hope it gets taken down. But I'm at a loss for words, and I'm not often at a loss for words.
How concerned are you about your own safety in the wake of this attack? And, you know, he's a giant on the right. You were a giant on the right.
Yeah, he had asked me that too. Of course, I am very concerned. I have some of the most death threats in Congress, and they're always ongoing. But again, today it's not about me. Today it's about Charlie and his wife and his family and everyone that's mourning his loss. So, thank you.
Thank you, Congresswoman.
Thank you.
Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene there speaking to reporters. You can see she was just there on the steps of Capitol Hill. We saw earlier that moment of silence held for Charlie Kirk inside the chamber of the House of Representatives. Marjorie Taylor Greene, of course, someone who is very outspoken within the MAGA movement as well, herself very close to President Trump, although she has deviated from his policies from time to time, but very, very close. And as she said herself, she's one of the members of Congress who has received the most death threats. She was asked about how she feels about her safety now, and she said she was incredibly concerned. But she said on the issue of the death of Charlie Kirk, she was at a loss for words, that she was devastated, that she was angry. She spoke, of course, about what a young man Charlie Kirk was, just 31 years of age. She said similar in age to her own children, which is what makes this all the more shocking, she said. We've been hearing a reaction really across the political divide, speaking to that exact point of shock, of devastation and of tragedy. Let's go over to the White House now live to Bernd de Boezman Jr., who is there. Bernd, we heard, of course, from President Trump being the person to confirm the death of Charlie Kirk, someone who was a good friend to President Trump and someone who helped him, and the President acknowledges this, win over the youth vote in the election last year. What has he been saying or doing this evening in the wake of this news?
Well, in the last hour or so, President Trump quickly signed a proclamation for flags to be lowered to half-mast. So just over my shoulder on the White House and on the roof and on the lawn on the north and south end of the White House, all the flags were lowered, and it was really quite a somber mood. White House staffers came out, and Charlie Kirk was very, very familiar to many of them, both from the campaign trail and from the administration, came out to watch it. And even though he didn't really have a formal government position, he was someone whose influence was very much felt here at the White House. He was very close with President Trump and members of his family, members of the cabinet, and even at a kind of a lower level, many of the White House House staffers here, the young staffers, are very much from the young conservative movement in which Charlie Kirk was extremely influential. I was actually in the West Wing when news of the shooting originally broke, and many of the younger staffers that were immediately around me were very visibly upset at what happened, and it's still a very, very sad mood, and I think many people here at the White House are still very much in shock at what happened.
And of course, Bernd, Charlie Kirk has been to the White House there